Hi, my name is Sarah Bennett, and this is the Salamander Stories podcast, episode 1. Today we gather at the lovely Salamander Springs Farm outside of Milledgeville, Georgia, with storytellers Sierra Hamilton, Avery DeJoe, Jimmy Hartford, and Martin Fenwick to tell stories on the adventures of New Mexico and their hot springs, alongside nature stories on bears, dogs, and baby squirrels. Hope you enjoy.
The original story was called The Sympathy for the Devil. I'm now sort of thinking to revise it as El Duende and how the Sangre de Cristos got their name. And it starts in a house in El Rito. El Rito, if you are in this area of Rio Arriba County, the poorest county in New Mexico, and also the largest exporter of energy, in nuclear energy, hydropower, solar power. The best solar schools are in Rio Arriba County, and anyway, that's the background. And I am in a house in El Rito. This house, if you want to research this house, is illustrated in the children's book Little Roja Riding Hood, which has a glossary of Spanglish words, and if you know Spanish, it's very parochial, or the language changes wherever you are. And in this particular area, I learned that everything that is named has a significance to something real. And I'm living in this house, and this is illustrated in this book. And the word that's missing in the glossary is duende. And I personally know that the book is loaded with duendes, and it's dedicated to a wonderful iconographer from El Rito, who gets a dedication. I get nothing for introducing the illustrator to that house, but I swear I am the duende that was not named in the glossary. Now, I'm living in this house, and I won't go into why anything past that, other than I've learned that observing the surroundings and listening is the most important thing that we can do. And I am in a position where I can see the Sangre de Cristos over the Ojo Caliente Mesa top, which is where there's been one of the largest dwellings of Indians in North America at some point. Now it's just nothing but pottery shards if you go and hike on top of that mesa. And you look over this mesa top and you see La Sangre de Cristos. And I learned how the Sangre de Cristos got their name. I was there for 10 years, and I witnessed sunsets all the time.
All the people that have been here.
And I learned that when the sun sets on the winter solstice, it hits the mountain range, which is the lower part of the Sierras, and at an angle in which it is blood red. The winter solstice is when there's a fresh bit of snow on the mountains, so it's white normally. But on the solstice itself, the angle of the setting sun casts, and this happened every year. It's almost as if the mountains are scraping the sky, and the blood is coming down from the sky. It's blood red. And so that's how the Sangre de Cristos got their name. This is also the area, El Rito, in Spanish, has many names. It's Little Creek in Rio Arriba County, but in Spain it means ritual. spooky place. And one of the pastimes is to drive on one of the most beautiful roads that Debbie may know, that goes from El Rito to Taos, straight across the Rio Grande, and it's a spectacular road that brings you to what is now Mike Reynolds' Earthship Megalopolis. There's just a bunch of Earthships built by Michael Reynolds. But I got to know that place because at the base of the Rio Grande is the hot springs that are in the movie Easy Rider, and it's in the scene where you see the tribes of Albanitos and Albanitas tossing seeds on the ground, hopefully that they're going to produce food for them in their commune. And it's where Dennis Hopper goes, wow. Anyway, I went down to the road and hopped into the hot springs naked, all by myself, in the snow with the river coming in the springtime. It's fresh. It's the stream. The hot springs are cleaned out, and I'm by myself. And until this guy shows up and sits in the pool next to me and begins a conversation, and he's naked and I'm naked, and he's got the earring and he's got the mustache, and I'm going, it's a classic look, and and he starts talking about. He instantly starts telling stories of which he's pandering for sympathy, about his ex-wife and his $1 million estate and his Humvee and his dogs that he has to pay $10,000 every time they bite his neighbors. And I'm going, God,
I had a dog like that.
damn, who is this guy?
And pay $10,000, baby.
And he was pandering for sympathy the whole way through. And I'm going to end the story here because this is where the sympathy for the devil comes in. And luckily I was rescued by a nice family who took off their clothes and got into hot springs with us, and it gave me a way out. And I'll never forget that he, all those stories were just unbelievable. And I'm lucky to be alive. And the word, and I call him the Duende. And if you want, you can look up the word duende, and there's many, many definitions, but it's not in the glossary of Little Roja Riding Hood. There's a bunch of things to look up on your Google search.
Story 2.
All right, so this is a story of how I almost, but fortunately didn't kill a baby squirrel. So this happened, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks ago, here on the farm. I was just doing my thing, working. It was a day pretty much like any other, except I knew that today was going to be the first time it rained really hard on the farm, at least first time for me since I had been there. I'd been there about a week. And so I was looking forward to seeing what that was going to be like. It was going to be like around like maybe 5 p.m. or something. And I was just finishing up work. It was around like 1 p.m. And Sierra comes up to me and says, hey, what's up? I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? And he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm looking at him like, yeah, what's up? And then he starts looking with his eyes to his shoulder. And I look at his shoulder, and there's this like giant marsupial rat clinging to his shoulder. And I'm like, oh, that's what's up. Oh, I see. I missed that. I'm sorry. And he's like, yeah. I found this little baby squirrel. He fell out of a tree, and so did his brother. And then Sheila, the dog, ate him. So I picked him up so before Sheila could eat him. And so yeah, now I just got him here, and I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. Can I hold him? I'm looking at him, and he's at the stage of development where his eyes aren't open, but he's like he's awake, he's conscious. He's like sniffing around and trying to live, but his eyes are closed. And so he's very cute and very helpless and, just painful to look at in all kinds of ways. And I asked Sierra, like, okay, what are you going to do with this little guy? And he's like, probably just feed him to Sheila. I don't know. Like, what else am I going to do with him? I'm pretty sure I shot his mom a few days ago. So that's pretty much it for this little guy. And I was like, wow, yeah. I mean, that's fair. But I thought he was really cute, and I didn't have anything else going on that I could use as an excuse to leave him alone. So I was like, let's try and save him and see what we can do. And Sierra, being the homie, was like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure it out. So I started, scrambling I got a box together, and I put some sweatpants in there, and I was like, okay, that'll be his bed. He'll like that. And I was like Googling, or actually I was asking Sierra. Sierra did all the hard stuff, and then I just kind of did what I was told. But I was asking Sierra, what kind of food does a baby squirrel eat? And it turns out to be what was it? Puppy milk? Yeah, puppy milk. When it feels like it, it'll eat puppy milk. And so I'm like looking up where I can buy that. And of course, like around this time, it starts to rain, and like really rain. So I asked Sierra, like, okay, I got to go buy puppy milk because this little guy's going to like die or something. I didn't know if that was true, but and Sierra's like, okay, stash him in the bread van and go do your thing. And I was like, okay. So I stash him in the bread van. I break the speed limit. I was so in a rush. I don't even know if he was really in danger or not. But he well, anyways, I went to some pet place and bought puppy milk. This is just CBD smoke that I'm smoking, nothing illegal. And after I got the puppy milk, I drove back, and it's starting to rain, so I grab a poncho, and I take the little squirrel, who I've now named Huckleberry Finn. I take him, and I wrap him up, and I bring him back to my cabin, and there he stays for a period of time. And I was very careful to avoid Sheila going to and from my cabin, who was eyeing me with hunger in her eyes. But so yeah, I avoided her, and I took the squirrel into the cabin and tried to take care of him, but it wasn't going super well. And he wasn't eating a ton, and it just got to be a bit much. So what I ended up doing was calling some place, some wildlife reserve place that could take care of small mammals, and I made an appointment with them to drop him off, to adopt him. And I drove out pretty late at night that night, and he was still alive, thankfully, and passed him off. And they texted me later to tell me that he was a little dehydrated, but he would probably be okay. So yeah, that's it. That's the story.
Story 3.
Months ago, took off going down the Oconee River canoeing, and going down the canoeing down the river, and it got dark, and set up my tent and made camp, and just had a wonderful time. Just had a little fire, and climbed in my tent, getting ready to call it quits. And I kept on hearing sniffing around my tent. And I thought, well, maybe it was wild hogs, because I was in an area where there were wild hogs. And I kept on hearing sniffing. And I don't carry a gun or anything like that. And so I figured whatever is outside wants to get inside. And if it's inside, I'm going to want to get outside. And so all I had was a flashlight. And so I just unzipped my tent, and I opened it up, and there was a dog. He was an old hunting dog that was lost, and he just wanted a home, someplace to sleep. Anyway, I didn't notice he was a dog or not, but he came in, and I went out, and I got my flashlight looking in my tent to see what the hell it was. And he just kind of laid down there by my, and we ended up sleeping together all night long. And it was great because I woke up the next morning and he was in the sleeping bag, comfortable, and I ended up cooking the dog breakfast and making him stuff, and he just had a great time. And so I said, I don't know what to do, because I was in an area where there wasn't any telephone service. So I said, come on, boy. But he had a collar and a telephone number. I said, well, if I go on downstream, I can eventually call somebody. So anyway, he climbs in the canoe with me, and down the creek we just, drive on down. And I could watch him, and you could tell that he started picking up signs of where he knew where he was. And I pulled up next to the shore bank, and he jumped out, and he sniffed around, and off he went. But it was wonderful to sleep with a lost dog at night and a bottle of wine. We had a good time. Thank you.
Story 4.
Was up in Cleveland, Georgia, at Dix Creek back in like 2020 or something. I can't remember the year, but pretty sure it was New Year's. We celebrated New Year's Eve. I took my friend home to Cleveland, and then I drove out to the National Forest to go bear hunting. And that first night was pretty cold, so I slept in my car. I didn't bring a tent or anything. In the morning, I get ready. I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta go out all day, because I don't know anything about bear hunting. It wasn't until much later that I learned that bears don't get up till the middle of the day. But I spent that morning walking around this beautiful mountain, went back through the camp, up the mountain, around, and I saw lots of deer sign, but I didn't see anything bear related. But I just kept going, found this big wide trail, and I even met some hikers. I was surprised because I didn't expect to see hikers out there New Year's. And I remember talking to them. They looked shocked to see me. I just busted through some hikers. It was hikers, Debbie. Where was I? Yeah. So I stumble out of these woods. It's pretty thick. These hikers, when they saw me, they were so shocked because I was in full camo, the orange vest, and my rifle was slung across my back. And they were like, whoa, what are you after? And I was like, oh, I'm out here after a bear. And they looked, their eyes opened wide. And I was just like, oh, yeah. I don't go after deer. I'm after bear up here. I can go after deer at home. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we haven't seen anything. I saw some deer in this field back there, maybe half a mile back. And I was like, okay, I might go check that out. So I don't go check it out. I just keep on walking. And then I cut back into the woods, up the same mountain that I walked up, but from the other side. And I recall just working through this really thick brush, mountain laurels, just going up and up and up. I found a big wide trail that was not made by humans, but anyway, I was walking for all day. From morning all the way to the evening, and it was almost dark when I got back to my car. So I made some food, and I sleep in my driver's seat, and and I'm just like, dang, that sucked. I didn't see anything. That's all I remember is not seeing anything, not even deer. But I wake up in the middle of the night in my car, and I'm like, did I just hear something? So I turn on my the headlights of the car. Nothing. I open the door. At this point, I'm kind of scared of the dark. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, is anything out there? Nothing. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And I try to settle myself and go back to sleep. When I wake up in the morning, it's cold. It's so cold. And I look over to my passenger window, and there's a bear nose print on the window. You can tell he had smushed his face against it. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm making this shit up. But I look closer, and I'm like, no, that's totally a bear nose. And I look to my left, right next to my face, there's a big old bear paw print on the window. Right next to my face. And I'm just like, what? And I look ahead of me, and there's another one. Like, he had kind of just, like, hugged my car. I'm like, what's in there? And I went hunting that same day. Didn't see jack shit. So the bear followed me around all day, and I didn't see anything of him.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. We will be posting monthly recordings, including 2 for the month of October, as we will have a Halloween special on Debbie's birthday, the creator of Salamander Springs. Once again, I hope you enjoyed today's stories, as there will be plenty more to come. Thank you.